I'm the president of Heart to Heart International, a humanitarian medical relief organization. I'm also a colonel in the Army Reserve. Had the privilege of serving in Camp Ashraf in 2004. So I'm very aware and have followed the situation in Ashraf for many, many years. Remember, the people of Ashraf voluntarily gave up their arms, their ability to protect themselves, in a treaty, in an agreement with our government. And in exchange for giving up their arms and their ability to protect themselves, they were granted a guarantee from our government to protect them. And I was a part of that mission. My job as a soldier in Iraq was to help protect them. I had 400, 500, 600 MPs there as well that provided protection, as well as my job, particular job, working on the medical care side. It's a mystery to me how we think we can simply use some excuse that we're transferring that responsibility now to someone else. That's an easy way to get out of an agreement, to simply say, well, I've given it to someone else, or I've passed it on, and it's not my problem anymore. I still feel a responsibility as a physician when I see these images, as an American, and I see other American soldiers simply rolling up their windows and driving away. I personally feel that offends me, and as an American, as a soldier, as a humanitarian, as a physician, I want to do everything I can to protect, to carry out this agreement that our government has made. I was also there during the investigation. There was a 16-month-long investigation, and I was there during a part of it when every member of Ashraf was interviewed, and it was a difficult time, and each of them were isolated, and the interviewers, the interrogators, were doing everything they can to try to find some shred of evidence to charge someone. In fact, I remember the FBI agents who were there. There were CIA and DIA and in military intelligence and State Department and Defense Department and all kinds of people there. Almost more civilians from the United States than soldiers at the time. And they were just bent on finding at least one person they could bring back to the United States and charge with something. After 16 months and thousands of hours of interviews and investigations, not one person was charged. So they found nothing during this entire investigation. So I am here again with these members of the panel today to ask for three things. There are other things we're interested in, but I personally am calling on my government, my president, and the world community. If our country is not going to fulfill, I call upon people around the world to stand up for international organizations, Amnesty, ICRC, Red Cross, the United Nations, to come to the defense of Ashraf. But three things. One is, the very first thing is, we need to pressure the Iraqi government to release the 36 hostages. You know who they are. I know some of them. Their pictures are here. They're in the paper. You go in front of the White House. You see the pictures of them, and there's hundreds and hundreds of people throughout the world on a hunger strike. Some of you, how many of you are on a hunger strike here today? Stand up if you're on a hunger strike. So you are among hundreds or thousands of people worldwide who are willing to lay down your lives to have these men released. Thank you very much. We have to have the 36 people released immediately. Number two, we have to ask our government to fulfill its moral obligation, its legal obligation, its technical, its moral obligation to protect the residents of Ashraf. And then number three, one of the great impediments to this entire discussion on this series of events is the fact that the PMI has remained on the list of foreign terrorist organizations. Even when the European community, even when the United Kingdom has done their own investigations and trials and hearings and have dropped the PMI from their list, still the United States remains the one country that has refused to do so. And we must, to further the common goals we share, we must have the PMI removed from that list of terrorist organizations. I can tell you tremendous work is being done by you and many others. Even in the last 24 hours, we've gotten the support of senior military officials who are willing to sign on and to speak out on behalf of the petition to Secretary of State Clinton. I call upon the attention of people throughout the world to stand with you who are on the hunger strike, and to stand with all of those who are supporting the people of Ashraf and the 36 hostages, to join together with the Near East Human Rights Initiative and many other organizations to advocate for our common goals. And then finally, I am suggesting that the members of the panel here seek to organize a mission, a delegation to travel to Iraq as soon as possible to visit Ashraf, to make a first-hand assessment of the conditions there, to meet with various international organizations and the U.S. military, to meet with Dr. Mutlak and other leaders of the Parliament to try to bring some resolution.
Ladies and gentlemen, my honor to speak before of your committee and the distinguished delegates here. To speak about specific issue is the intervention of the neighboring countries, especially Iran and my country, and the suffering of the Iraqis and the people of Ashraf, the Iranian, the opposition and Ashraf. We, as a country, been suffering since the war happened in Iraq, from the Iranian intervention in Iraq, the Iranian meddling in Iraq. And we are suffering from the upper hand of Iran in our country. And this rule of the intervention of Iran, the Iranian regime in Iraq would not have happened without the occupation of the American troops to Iraq. So I would believe that it is the responsibility of the American government to protect Iraq and the Iraqis, and to protect the opposition, the Iranian opposition in Iraq, who been lived in Iraq for almost a quarter century, 23 years. So it is first the obligation of the Americans, and it's the obligation of the world who helped occupying Iraq, and who is also responsible to preserve the right of people to defend themselves, especially those in Ashraf. The behavior of those who did the job in Ashraf is definitely not an Iraqi behavior. We've been brought up in Iraq to respect the people who came to live in our country. They are our guests. And those who had to be in our country because they cannot go to their country, it's our responsibility to protect them. So definitely it was not our customs, neither our manners. If you see what's happening in Iran during the election and compare it to what's happening in Iraq, you will see which kind of act it was and who was after that. Maybe some of them are Iraqis, or most of them are Iraqis, but those Iraqis were trained in Iran, especially Badr Brigade, for a long time, and they came to Iraq, and they were now occupying the Ministry of Interior, and probably the Ministry of Defense too. So they were the one who did the job, and they were trained in Iran, not in Iraq. I would expect that the same thing that we all saw on TV will happen to the Iraqis after the withdrawal of the American troops from Iraq if the mistakes that were done by the Americans are not going to be corrected.